welcome everybody to Moose Milk Podcast episode 23. 23. I'm Ryan, your host, and I am very, very, very tired. I've been up for almost 36 hours, so I got about an hour or two nap in between, but yeah, I'm pretty tired. I've been up all day. I'm on vacation, and yeah, little bit intoxicated, but thank you for joining us this week. We're going to be talking about the first episode of Loki, which premiered on Wednesday. Just going to wait for Matt to join us, and then we're going to dive into spoilers. So if you haven't watched Loki episode 1, you probably want to bail, come back after you've seen the first episode, and watch it then, because yeah, we will dive into spoilers. We will dive into pretty much everything the episode that happens in the episode, and yeah, so we're just gonna wait for Matt to join us. But I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody I don't know about where you're from, but Ontario finally lifted up its lockdown, so we're finally kind of getting to enjoy restaurants and bars and such outside, and outdoor activities and everything like that. I'm on vacation for the week, so finally getting a little break from my job, and yeah. Oh, absolutely. Stranded already saying I want more Loki now, please, and I totally agree with you, buddy. Obviously Matt and I will dive into that, but yeah, 100% agree. Can't wait for the next episode. Like, it was awesome. What's up, buddy? I cannot hear you at all. I got no volume.
You hear me?
Now I can, yeah.
Ah, stupid fucking things. Earphones never connect.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, there we go. Now they're in.
I don't know.
How are you?
I'm good, you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm tired. It's been a busy
I'm
week.
so tired, dude. Same.
Oh, yeah, yours is bad because you slept in a car, didn't you?
I slept like about 2 hours in a car. And it took about an hour nap, so I've basically been up almost 36 hours.
Oh, fuck.
8 beers deep.
Nice.
So
I wouldn't expect anything less from you, to be honest. So
yeah.
Check it out.
So,
You can be a fancy boy now.
oh, fancy boy! You look like you're gonna solve crimes or like library books or something. Yeah.
A magnifying glass that I don't have.
Maybe like you're gonna start doing the Dewey Decimal System with some books or something. I don't know. But I like it.
That's funny. So how's the weather up there? Is it hot as dicks?
It was really, really hot in Windsor. It's way less hot up in Muskoka where I'm staying.
Oh yeah, Muskoka. I thought you went to Wheatley for some reason.
No. We're in a cabin in Muskoka. It's right on a lake, so it's pretty cool.
Nice. That's sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
Humid, right?
Oh, it's actually pretty chill. Like, I'm in jogging pants right now because it got real cold that night. But
that's kind of nice though. Like, it's nice to not sweat through the night.
Oh yeah, like the last week in Windsor has been like 30 plus, and I've been sleeping like absolute garbage because I don't have air conditioning, so it's like really hot.
Yeah, I get that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, you're just there for you're not there for the whole week, are you?
Yeah, I'm here till Friday next week.
Nice. Who's all with you?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. So, 4 of my friends came with us,
nice.
And yeah, it's just been. We got here at around 4 or 5 p.m. Made some dinner. Guys went, canoeing and stuff like that, and I kind of chilled back. But I think tomorrow I'll probably take the kayak out and go for a kayak. Yeah, I'm excited.
That's sweet. That's dope, man. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm going to a cabin soon too. I'm going in middle of July. We're going to a cabin on the water. So
it's awesome, dude. It's awesome.
Looking forward to it.
It's nice to get away and have a little quiet time out of the city, you know?
Yeah. Well, this week's been crazy for me because I'm working like in stores again this week. So it's
Right.
like, and I'm like rolling out a new program. So it's like I'm at the stores every day at like, 6 or 7 in the morning. And it's
Sure.
just like, I over the last, like the whole pandemic, I've been working from home. I've completely shifted to like a 10 to 7 shift. So it's like, I haven't been getting up this early in so long, right? I'm just so fucking exhausted. I come home every day and I take a nap. Like I have to, like I'm exhausted. So
it's so hard to change your sleep schedule, or like your body gets in such a rhythm, and like obviously like, me on midnights, I've been in on midnights for I don't know 4 or 5 years, and like I haven't slept at night since last March for a week when I was on vacation in Cuba.
Yeah.
So like actually it was last February. So yeah, like everybody in this house right now is in bed, gone to sleep, and I'm the only one awake. And like I want to get up at a decent time tomorrow so I can enjoy everybody. Yeah. But it's like I'm used to going to bed at 8 a.m., 9 a.m.
Totally.
They're all making dinner at like 4 or 5 p.m. and I'm like, dude, I'm normally not even up yet. Like I'm not hungry at all. Yeah, like this is the time where I'm getting out of bed and I'm like, I'm gonna take a hot shower and eat some breakfast. Like,
burgers,
so
on the cob.
Well, we made tacos tonight, but it was just like, it's 6 o'clock at 7 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I'm not even normally ready for dinner yet. So
yeah.
You've been watching anything else other than Loki this week?
Yeah, that's why I was actually rushing to get on here. We've been watching. Kate got Crave with HBO Plus because she wanted to watch this show called Mayor of Easttown. Have you ever heard of that?
Okay, I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
I feel like you might like it just because you're into like that, like kind of like more. I don't know if I really call it like a crime, like mystery. I guess it is kind of. I don't really know what I'd call it. I guess I would call it that, but it's. I don't know. It actually was interesting, even to me. Like I usually don't really like that kind of stuff, but.
Yeah.
But it's good.
It like
Kate Winslet, the girl Kate Winslet was the one in Titanic, right?
Yeah,
that's her. So yeah, she's the main. She plays like a detective.
Is it like old times?
No, you kind of when it first turned on, I thought it was going to be. It's kind of shot like in like a weird like Instagram filter kind of thing, so it like looks old timey, but it's not. It's modern day. And it also is weird because like they all have this weird accent. I'm not sure exactly where it's supposed to be from, but it's like it feels super overplayed sometimes. But aside from that, like it's really like like we watched the first episode, we were like hooked immediately. There's only 7 episodes, so we finished. Kate wanted to start it, even though I said like I can't finish it because I have to go do the podcast. So like I'm like, do we really want to start it? So we left it with like 20 minutes left. So it's like,
well, I'm sorry, dude.
Oh no, yeah, it is what it is. I was just wanted to wait till tomorrow, but
there's nothing worse than diving into a new show and getting really hooked on it and then not being able to finish it. Like
we watched the 3 episodes tonight, or like it was like we didn't finish the 3rd one, but like we watched 3.
Sure. Yeah, so. I was watching. I've been absolutely obsessed with the challenge this week. Like, being point blank, I've had 3 panic attacks this week. So,
oh Jesus,
I've been like, it's been a really bad week for me. So, I've been staying at home a lot, just really like trying to mentally get right. But so I watched the challenge like nonstop basically this week, and once you watch like an episode, it's so hard to just like, oh, I'm gonna stop here. It's like every episode ends with like a tease for the next episode, so you just want to keep watching.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I like shows that are designed that way because it always makes me want to watch the next thing. But it also is like, man, I can't sit here for 4 hours and watch the challenge, So it becomes a problem. But well, like, I love the challenge.
We've had a couple nights this week where it's been like TV for like 4 hours because it's just like we're also watching Handmaid's Tale, which I know I brought up before. That's that one with Elizabeth Moss. It's like and that next week is the season finale of that one. So like it's getting good now. I mean, it was getting good. It's already good, but it's each week it gets progressively like whoa.
I think I'm gonna watch that in the next few weeks. I'm gonna try.
I feel like you would like it. It's just like, again, like I don't remember your like kind of level for like it kind of, even though it's set in modern day, it feels like it's set in like old days. And like I remember at the beginning, that was one of the things that like I didn't love about it. So like I'm not sure how you are with that kind of, like, to me that stuff just is generally not that interesting. So like I don't attach to it.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page a lot of that. Like generally I really love true crime and everything like that, but generally when it's like this true crime tale took place in 1892, I'm like, nah, I'm checked out. I don't give a shit. Yeah, like
bonnet on before you leave.
It's just like, oh, in a time when there was no cameras, no electricity, no DNA evidence, no anything, we're gonna try to solve this crime. I'm like, no, you're not. There's no way you're ever gonna solve this crime. Like,
it's like John Mulaney
to me,
says, first, let's outline the body with chalk. Or doesn't he do it?
Exactly. Like, yeah, like
he's like, somebody clean up all this DNA.
I just find if anything took place before. If anything took place before like 1960, like it's a wrap, man. Like you're not figuring this out. I'm sorry. It's just not happening.
So funny. So yeah, so we watched that, and then we watched Loki, and then we watched an episode of Mayor of Easttown. That like the Wednesday night, and then last night we watched some, and then. But yeah, it haven't been late nights for me, so I've been.
Yeah,
I've pretty much.
It's hard to get up early, man.
Like I've done, I've been doing like no customizing like all week. It's just like sucks. I've been fucking plowing through shit and.
No, dude, it's hard to work two jobs, man.
Yeah.
It's like I know like you enjoy customizing, and I know you're very artistic in that way. But like it's also like when you put in like 8-9 hour day at work and then come home. It's a lot to sit down and go, oh, I'm going to put another 2 or 3 hours into, my other job. It's like, it becomes a lot. Everybody needs a break. Everybody needs their mind to rest at some point. So I totally get that. It's good to take a break. It's good to,
Yeah, for sure. It is what it is. Still have another couple weeks. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, you'll get them done. You'll get them done.
Yeah, man.
And they'll be better because you're into it when you're into it, right? Like when you really sit down and get to work on them, you do a better job.
The part about it right now is like the ones I'm working on. I'm like in such a good groove on them, so I'm like, sucks to stop.
And they're looking great, man.
Yeah, I'm happy with
everything you've posted, everything I've seen you do live. Like they look great. You're doing a great job. So I'm really excited to see. When they're finished,
You're my hype man. You're like, oh,
dude,
you can do it. Let me give you a back rub inappropriately.
I'll wear the green hat on stage.
Snoop-a-loop.
Snoop-a-loop, you're my boy. Come on, bring your green hat.
Bring your green hat. But have you been watching anything other than the challenge?
Not really, honestly. I basically spent the week watching the challenge. I played a little bit of video games, but I had a lot to do at work this week because I was going on vacation, so I had to get a lot of stuff done and prepared for this week. The biggest problem with my job is nobody else does my job, so when I go on vacation, I have to do a lot of work to make sure to make sure everything's done for the week I'm off.
Right.
And so it becomes a hassle, and I just had a lot of stuff to get ready for vacation, packing and doing laundry, cleaning my house, getting dog food, all that stuff. My mom's watching my dog, so it was like I got to get all these little things out of the way. And my parents got their second shot yesterday, so they were busy doing that. And like,
my mom got hers. Yeah, yesterday or the day before, Thursday, I think it was. Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know what fucking day it is.
Good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I'm glad everybody's getting their second shot now, and it seems like we're really, making wavelengths here. We're moving forward.
That's nice. That's good.
Yeah, for sure.
We're starting to see it more in our area, but
good.
Yeah.
I hope by like September everybody's vaccinated or fully vaccinated, and everything's back to normal. So
Yeah, that'd be great.
this is the first day that Ontario's opened up at all. So
yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, it's been
good for you guys.
2 months since anything's been open. So, yeah.
Wow.
So
we haven't even talked. It's weird because the chat isn't moving for me again. Remember how it does that for me sometimes? Oh, that's okay. I might even just go on with my other account, and then like that way I can see if anyone says anything. Look, no, it's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that sometimes and not others, but
yeah, I know some days it's good, but some days it's not good.
SVT Omar says, "How's your guys' days?" Yeah, I'm good. I'm on vacation, so
vacation's good.
Vacation's always good. I can't complain.
And I just spent the first 10 minutes talking about how shit my week was. So
sorry, buddy.
It's good. It's good though. Today's a good day because it's the weekend.
Yeah, buddy.
So we haven't even talked at all about Loki. So like I know you have your thoughts on it.
I purposely didn't text you because I didn't want to
talk about it.
I didn't want to talk about it and like remove the excitement of doing the podcast because I think that's the best part is getting our like genuine reactions to the episode, even though it's a couple days late.
Yep. I wish I would have had a chance to watch it again. I was wanting to watch it again.
I watched it while on vacation here. I just watched it. Everybody was upstairs playing cards, and I came down and watched it again. I really liked it.
I did too.
I think it has the potential to be the best MCU show.
Yeah.
I had some problems with it.
That way. Okay, that's interesting.
But like, if I was gonna give it like a rating out of 10, I would say like it was like an 8.5 to a 9. Like I think it was really, really solid. I felt it dragged a bit when they were recapping basically everything that's happened for Loki during the MCU storyline. You know, like
really, I thought they did a good job at wrapping that up in a quick little couple minutes. No,
it was, but it was like I don't know. To me, it was like okay, we know all this.
We know that, but I feel like the point of it wasn't to say like this. You remember Loki from this? I feel like it was more like of saying like, hey, this like because Kate when we watched it, Kate was so confused by it because she's like they're showing all this stuff, but he already knows, and I'm like, no, it's not the same Loki. It's Loki from Avengers 1. It's not Loki from Endgame or whatever, right? Like or from Infinity War. It's like a different. Right, so I think, and I want to talk about that later too, about my wife's lack of interest, actually. But
I think that's inherently the problem with doing time travel, right? Is like, it makes it automatically confusing for people that's less attached to the product. Totally. And even when you get something like Back to the Future, like Back to the Future is probably the most famous time travel movie, right?
Yeah, I would say. Or Terminator.
Yeah, or Terminator. Okay, so either way. If you don't closely follow the movie timeline, it immediately like by the second movie you're going to go, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah,
and I get that. Like time travel is always confusing because there's always different rule sets depending on the movie, depending on the universe of like how time travel works and what people know and what people don't know, and can you change time? Can you manipulate time to benefit you or interact with your previous self? Or does that like destroy the universe or so on and so forth, right? So there's always these like genuine issues of how time travel works. And I felt like they definitely set like a rule set of like, okay, this is the MCU version of how time travel works. But I also felt like, okay, we are getting a lot of recap during this first episode, and it kind of dragged the episode at parts for me. That's the downfall of the episode for me. It was like, okay, we know what happened during Avengers 1. We know, we've seen this multiple times now. It kind of dragged the episode for me, but overall, I found it very, very well done. Like just the style and the set design of like,
I like that.
All the little like control mechanisms for like the time or whatever, and like all the explanations of how like they are, whatever, keeping the timeline in order.
Fantastic.
I found like really, Yeah, I found that really compelling. So I dug that a lot.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. Definitely like the set pieces and stuff were very visually like striking. I actually said again when I was watching it, like Kate didn't get it, but I said like
Yeah,
like it really looks like a page of like a Jack Kirby comic. Like I'm not sure if you're
totally.
familiar with Jack Kirby, but like he's, one of the
Yeah,
ones they say that, changed the way comic books were drawn, and he was like,
right,
very influential in a lot of artists who, came after him, right?
right.
And like, I feel like that part where Loki goes and kind of looks over the little city that is there, and he's like,
Yep, yep.
um, I thought you said magic doesn't exist here, and he's like, oh, it doesn't. This is all like whatever, right? And it was
It's
like
still
just
real
seeing
life.
that, I
Yeah,
was like, that literally looks like something ripped out of a comic from the '60s that he
totally.
had drawn. Like it's just like it's crazy, man. It looked great, and like it's cool to see so many. I can't say for sure, but I mean, it looks like most of them are like sets. It doesn't look like it's like CGI. Like it actually looks like that room when they were
I
in, when
think.
they were kind of talking with that screen that kept moving with Loki and
Yeah,
Mobius or whatever. Like,
yeah.
yeah, like it just, I don't know. It looked great. And I also really liked
I
the
think
dynamic between Loki and Mobius a lot too.
100%. I think
It's going to
that
be a fun
background of the
one.
city.
Yeah.
I think the background of the city was CGI. Like, I don't think that was practical,
No, that wasn't
but
practical. No, but
I think everything
where they were
else, like
sitting
the set,
was.
yeah, I think all the like places they were sitting were definitely done practically. Like, it looked like they could move like the switches in the room and stuff like that. Like,
And
I
even the
mean,
one where there was that big lineup, where there was nobody in line, and they
right?
had like the circles, all
Yeah,
those like circles on the ceiling and stuff.
yeah.
It looked good, man. It looked really good.
And I love the aspect that it was like empty, like in that queue line, like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like this is like a everyday event where somebody manipulates the timeline to benefit themselves or whatever, and they have to step in. Like, if there's two people in line and they're still telling you to take a ticket, and the guy that doesn't take a ticket, they evaporate completely. And they really set like a rule set of how this works, and how this agency like deals with time manipulation, and they immediately basically make the Infinity Wars obsolete.
Yeah,
And I thought that was pretty cool.
I like how when they opened
Like,
the drawer, there was all the Infinity Stones in.
right. That's what I mean. Like, they basically mean they take the Infinity Stones and be like, oh, these are worthless. Like, these aren't,
Most of the people
these
just use
mean
them as
nothing to us.
paperweights.
Exactly. Like, we have a drawer of them, and Loki's obsessed with the Tesseract, and they're just like, well, A, it has no use here, but B, it's a paperweight. It means nothing to us. Like, we have 10 of these, and I think that really like expands the universe into what
Totally.
we can have, but it also makes us go, oh, like, the first three phases of the MCU basically are like, oh, that's done. That was small scale Earth.
Yes.
Earth,
Yeah, that was one of the things I took from it too, was like it made me realize how what we've seen so far is like really just a speck. Like it's really just of what else is out there.
Yeah, it's that like mind explosion of, like we're talking a universe now. We're talking about all timelines. We're talking about, a way bigger subject, and obviously it's tying into the multiverse, and obviously it's tying into Doctor Strange too. And talking to my friends and stuff here, like they're all like, obviously this is setting up like way bigger things than they're even letting on, and
So
Doctor Strange 2 was supposed to take place before this, I think, originally. So like this might actually take place after Doctor Strange 2, and we might be seeing Doctor Strange 2 like what happened to create the multiverse and all these different timelines, and why the time variance authority or whatever the fuck had to step in to make sure there was only one solid timeline,
Right. Do you think that maybe there's like, I don't know, I kind of got the vibe from like I kind of get like bad guy vibes from the TVA.
I think that's possible too. Yeah.
Like, I feel like maybe the reason why, like, they're trying to, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's like a bigger, like, I feel like the TVA is not just like what it seems like it is. Like, I feel like there's more to that story, and like,
I think we're gonna get.
I feel like they're gonna use Loki to like basically get whatever they're after, kind of.
So they kind of alluded to like the three people in charge or whatever.
The timekeepers or whatever it was, or the
timekeepers.
Keepers of time.
Yeah, and I feel like they're going to end up being some sort of villains that they're setting up to make the TVA sound like they're like the good guys that like are trying to keep the timeline intact. But I also feel like that's what they're wanting Loki to know to manipulate him into doing the bid kind of thing. And so the fact that his previous self is what we find out at the end of the episode is his previous self is who he's trying to capture. It makes it seem like maybe his previous self knows something that he doesn't know and is manipulating the timeline to his advantage for future self. And he's going to be like at war with himself of like, what's the right thing to do here? I have a feeling that by the end of the series, we're going to get Loki back in the MCU.
Yeah. The other thing is they could just keep doing this and he could just keep going to different times. Because I think one of the things they said about cameos in this one is expect the unexpected. So it's like, don't associate anything that like has to do with Loki in terms of like cameo wise, right? Like we could get anything at this point. So I'll be curious to see like what they go back to, like if they go back to things, if he's altering anything in the past and the timelines. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like.
I 100% think that we're getting mutants during the series.
I don't think so. But
the way
I hope you're right because I'm ready. But
I'm ready too. But the way the timeline thing is established, I feel like this is the easiest way for him to visit timelines where mutants exist.
I don't disagree.
That they have.
I don't disagree.
They have dissolved with their little. I feel like he's capturing these lanterns, like the lantern things they show that they hit that like dissolve the timeline.
Yeah.
I feel like Loki's after these to dissolve timelines that he doesn't agree with, that he doesn't become king in or whatever. But I have a feeling that he's visiting timelines where mutants exist and they're going to absorb those into other timelines somehow. Like, or the mutant timeline becomes the prime timeline, whatever you want to call it. I can't think of what they actually use as the.
I can't remember the name of it. I always call it the 616, but that's the comic. So.
Yeah, I wrote it down somewhere, but I can't fucking find it right now.
I will say on your topic there, on your piece, you just said, I do think that the mutants will come because of the multiverse, but I don't think it'll be in Loki. And I don't think it'll be in Doctor Strange. I don't necessarily think that it wouldn't be because of Loki or because of the circumstances that maybe come out of this episode, but I don't see them because again, mutants are something that all the super nerds are wanting to see, and as soon as you introduce mutants into it, no one really gives a fuck about Loki anymore.
But I think it's going to be Loki.
It'd be a waste. I don't think. Maybe we might get reference, but I honestly don't think we'll get a name drop on mutants until Eternals. I feel like Eternals is where it's going to happen.
I mean, that very well could be the case, but I look at it as this, is like, you could take some very, very low-key mutants and flip them into the stars of, like, the mutant universe, of the X-Men universe.
Yep.
And we've seen, like, obviously, the main stars of X-Men, you know, Cyclops, Wolverine, whatever.
Yep.
But what happens if they take somebody that's low-key that people don't expect and turn them into the main star of X-Men? Basically what they did with like Iron Man and stuff like that, where nobody gave a shit about Iron Man really until the Iron Man movie made him huge, is what happens if they take an X-Men that isn't established well, isn't anybody that people really care about, and go, this is where we're starting the X-Men universe, is you're going to run into, X mutant, and he's going to come in, and that's going to be the start of the mutant gene, and we're going to introduce a young or new actor that people aren't already have like an established relationship with, and establish them as the first mutant that they come across. And that way you don't have a preconceived notion of like where they're heading with mutants, what we can, what the storyline may be. Is like, here's whatever, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but, and then, we're going to introduce, other mutants that you may not be super well established with from the Fox universe. And then, then we bring in like somebody big, like maybe Gambit, that we really haven't established that well either. But then we can slowly trickle in the people, 2 years down the line. But in that way, you're not bringing in somebody like Wolverine and go, there's Wolverine, pay attention. It's way low key. It's way like, oh, that's, Morph. Oh, we've never really done Morph in any of the comics, but here's Morph,
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like they are not going to take a traditional approach that we've seen done before. Like, I feel like they're going to try their best to distance everything that Fox has done. That being said, I think they are going to start with the original X-Men. Like, I think it's going to start with Jean and Cyclops and Beast and Angel and Iceman, because I feel like that even in that group, there can be some diversity, especially if they wanted to, like, ethnically change a couple of them up, right? Like, and to me, like, to ethnically, to change any of them to different ethnicities, like, nothing. There's certain things that, like, I'm not going to be okay with, I think, but there's certain things that, like, I think as long as it doesn't interrupt the storyline, I'm okay with it. And to be fair with you, outside of the original X-Men, majority of the X-Men teams have been extremely, like, ethnically diverse. Like, it's just, like, they've always been that way, right? So if they do start with the original 5, then I could imagine that we might see some changes in ethnicities for some of them, which, like I said, that works for me. I think as long if they started with the original 5, oh man, honestly, that would win for me right off the bat. Just because, like, I think it's a great way to start telling a story, especially if the intentions is to go long term with it. Like, you've got lots of room to grow in there.
Yeah, I mean, a guy I follow on Twitter, Paris Lilly, he does mostly like video game stuff and whatever, but he's a black man, and he posted a couple days ago about how he thought that Magneto should be like a black man and reestablish the character as like someone that's dealt with like a lot of black rights issues within his community, and that's how they change it from like Jewish Nazi camp storyline into present day.
That'd be awesome. Honestly, like, anything that can build on what already makes those characters great, I would be okay with. And to me, if that was what they did, that would be an awesome idea, because you could build on his origin so much that way. Not only would he be hated because he was a mutant, but he would also be hated because he was a black man. And
and X-Men's always dealt with those topics, right? X-Men's always dealt with like gay rights and
that's what I even said that to my friends today. We were talking about X-Men, and I even said to them, like, I probably learned more about racism from the X-Men cartoons than I did from my parents.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's crazy when you see it that way, right? And when you put it into that perspective, it's crazy.
It's always been about human rights and racial rights and belonging and dealing with people that don't feel you belong and all that stuff. And that's what X-Men's always dealt well with.
Right?
So,
yeah.
And how do you bring that into 2021 when, World War II is 70 years ago or 80 years ago, whatever. So
that would be sweet, though. Changing that would be awesome. Like, if they did Magneto and redid him as a black person, like a black man, that would be crazy.
I think it has a lot of potential. They were talking. Somebody posted in that same comment about Giancarlo Esposito, who's the guy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I know he is.
About him, and he's in Mandalorian as well. him being like Magneto.
That would be cool.
And like he's got that kind of like older look where he's got some like gray hair going on, and like he could really like fit that role where he is, you know, that guy. And as soon as I seen that, I was like, oh fuck, like that's the right casting. Disney loves casting people between those universes, where once they find an actor they like, they'll cast him in both the MCU or Star Wars.
Totally.
And I could totally see that being like close or accurate, but
the only reason I really see that not working would be because of his age, right? Like, but like if you're going to introduce Magneto in the next 3 years, he needs to literally be able to continue to do this in a somewhat hardy role for the next probably 10 to 12 years.
It depends where they want to go with it, right? Like it depends whether they want to go a very young. No, but I'm saying like, do they want to go like a really young X-Men, or do they want to go in a route where Magneto is playing a role now, but necessarily won't be the big bad of the universe within the next 4 or 5 years? Like, are they setting up a dynamic between Magneto and Xavier, you know, that is leading the school and leading, you know, the anti, you know, human rights group or whatever? Or are they setting it up as like, this is the diversity of the cast, but then we're going to introduce a bunch of the young mutants that are going to carry this cast forward, you know?
That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think Magneto's going to start as the bad guy. I think he's going to start as an ally, and over the first few movies, we're going to see tension between him and Charles, and they're going to start to see differently on stuff, and it's going to come down to a point where there's going to be a big decision where one has to kind of put mutant kind over human kind, and I feel like that's going to be where they divide. But I don't.
But you could also flip it, right?
I think. Oh yeah, totally. You totally could. I mean, the thing is they could even play off what's happening in the comics right now. So like in the comics right now in X-Men, it's been like totally like revisited, where like all the mutants kind of like keep to themselves. They are like their own like world. Like they live on like an island that is a mutant. Like there's a mutant named Krakoa from like the old comics. They've then brought him back, and now they live on him. He is like the island, and like he takes care of the people, and like basically they become like their own country, and like get treated. They like, you know, can try their own people, and like it's just they've kind of it's like the dynamic has really shifted. So it's like all the good guys and bad guys kind of like live in harmony on Krakoa, because like that's, you know, the mutant nation, that's where you go, right? So
sure. Like, I mean,
it'd be cool to see that approach too. Like if they decided to just take it a totally different way. And again, like we might see that, because I do think they're going to try to distance themselves. Like,
yeah, but I mean, also
right, another Magneto and Charles story, really.
I agree, but you could also flip Charles too, right? Charles could be like a prominent black man that's rich, that tried to like use his money to help, black rights issues and stuff like that, which failed with his money. He couldn't make an impact with financially, so he decides to start a school for, you know, mutants and humans that have been, you know, pushed out of society or whatever, and that's how he makes an impact, and that relates him to Magneto, because he finds another man that's been through a lot of, you know, trials and tribulations through being a Jew during, you know, times where he hasn't been accepted in society or whatever. Like there's many ways where they could take it, where you could also flip it in that way. So
yeah, I
think there's so many different rights issues going on in the world even today, as they were in, you know, 1960, 1970, so on and so forth, that you could really go in any direction with it and still, you know, find acceptance in today's audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. No, I agree with you. I whatever they do, I don't think it will be predictable. I do expect them to throw a bunch of twists and curveballs in there, and I think even the people who are huge X-Men fans, I feel like they're, you know, we know how comic book people are, right? Yeah. Like we're opinionated, and we want to make sure everyone hears what we have to say about everything. And like I do feel like, you know, there's going to be decisions that are made that are going to ultimately piss people off. But like we continue to say every time we talk about Marvel and Disney, like until they give me a reason to not trust what they're doing, I'm gonna roll with it. Like, I don't have to love everything, but like, I don't, I'm as long as it doesn't get to the point where I start dreading them, then we should be fine.
Well, I mean, clearly, like with Loki episode 1, like they're setting up things like they use a lot of key words during the episode. They set up the Nexus event. They set up the multiversal war. They set up the TVA. They set up, all these different timekeepers, all these different, all these different, words that obviously are going to mean something to the next, whatever. I think it's 6 episodes, 5 episodes, but then the MCU going forward. So they're setting up a lot of how this is going to affect the rest of the MCU. They're also setting up that the Infinity War is over. The Infinity War does not matter anymore. The Infinity Stones are worthless in this new world, and because it's so much bigger and expanded so much farther, the threats now is time manipulation. The threats now is magic manipulation, and that's what we set up with WandaVision. That's what we set up with this. Like, it's not necessarily power people are after. It's the ability to manipulate time. It's the ability to manipulate magic within a power in a different extent rather than just physical power.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's cool.
I'm curious to see like how, because I feel like everything in the next like year is going to be tied into the multiverse, with the exception of Shang-Chi. It's like we are going to get it with Doctor Strange. We're obviously going to get it in Loki, and then we're going to get it in Spider-Man in a big way. Like, it's just like my worry is that it like I had mentioned kind of at the top of all this, is like they're gonna. I worry that they're going to lose some of those casual fans. So like, when Kate watched it with me the other night, like she just likes Tom Hiddleston. So, right. So she watched it because she likes Tom Hiddleston. And as we were watching it, she just kept like bashing it. Right. Like, she's just like, this is stupid. Like, this is so confusing and it's so dumb. And it's like, and I think that might actually happen with a lot of just casual viewers. Like, I feel, and I know I've alluded to this before, right? And it's like, like as this world gets a little kookier and kookier and a little less grounded, I do question if they start to kind of lose some of that luster to some of those people that,
I think they're hoping that people are bought in enough at this point that
that you don't question something like magic or a multiverse or an iron suit.
Yeah, I think they're hoping that you're beyond the point where everything has to be based in realism and you can join in at any point. And I think Tom Hiddleston is very compelling as an actor. I think he's obviously a very good looking guy. And I think a lot of people are going to jump in because of that. But I also think that just the way him and Owen Wilson banter throughout the episode, like, I think that's a very comedic element to the show where I really enjoyed that part too. Like, I thought they were very funny together. I thought they interacted very well. I hope that Owen Wilson's remaining in the MCU outside of the show, but I don't know if that's the case. Like, I have a feeling that he may end up being a villain.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting villain vibes. But not even necessarily just from him, just as like I said earlier, from the whole TVA thing. Yeah, I get villain vibes for sure.
So like Craig Warwick in the comments says, I think what we haven't seen is whether anything from the TV show will affect the movie MCU. I wonder if it will keep TV stuff isolated so that strictly cinema audiences won't be like, what? And we already know that's not the case because, Doctor Strange 2 is going to strictly come after everything that happened in WandaVision.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
So Wanda's going to be a huge part.
I guess if you hadn't seen WandaVision, by the time we get to Doctor Strange in the multiverse, you're going to be confused as to what the fuck's going on there.
Right. And I mean, Kevin Feige's come out that this is all strictly part of the MCU now.
Yeah,
the TV
I remember
shows,
him saying
everything's
that too.
involved.
Yeah, I remember him saying that by the time we get into it, like if you don't have a Disney account, like a Disney Plus account, like you're going to be missing components of the story.
I think, in a way, COVID has helped the MCU that they can launch these shows in a time where you're not getting any other media.
Totally.
And get you bought in. Yeah, and get you bought into these universes that they maybe otherwise wouldn't have found a huge audience for. They may have said, like, yeah, we're pushing out WandaVision while Black Widow and the Eternals is coming out, and people would have said, well, we don't give a fuck about the show, we got these movies to look after. Because we haven't had those movies, I think a lot more people are interested in the TV shows. Yeah. But
I think it definitely garnered more interest for them because people are at this point like itching for more, right?
Yeah, but I also think that like Loki definitely was set up in a way where episode 1 was like, hey, if you have missed some of these movies or if you're not super committed, yeah, like I feel like it was set up in a way where we can explain some things that you may have missed, and try to get you involved in this time, cop kind of show where even if you've missed some stuff, you can still buy in and still find some enjoyment in it. It's a very heavy, deep, like nerdy show for like, if you're 8 years old by watching Disney Plus, you may not be able to even understand what's going on in Loki. Like, time travel and stuff is like, kind of complicated in theory. So I think they're trying to make it as simplistic as possible and entertaining as possible while introducing some very like deep thought topics,
Yeah, I also think, oh shit, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Sorry.
I'll think of it.
It's okay. I mean, I'll put it this way. The fact that Loki is hunting himself by the end of the episode, I think is extremely compelling because it gives Tom Hiddleston a shit ton of like range to be able to play multiple versions of himself. I also think it's going to allow a lot of fun for him to like be very witty in the way he's, cocky Loki, but also sensitive Loki, where he wants to do the right thing. Is he a villain? Is he a hero? Like there's so many different ranges for him to play within the next 5 episodes, and whether he lives or dies by the end of the series, maybe he plays a role in Thor: God and Thunder in some small way too. Like we don't know that yet because they haven't really talked about that yet.
Right.
And that could be interesting too. Like I think this show is going to tie into more than we think it is.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's bound to, just based on its premise.
Yeah, I think
like if we're going to be going back and revisiting spots in time in the MCU, this is just bound to connect to things, right? So,
and I think they're setting up the TCU or whatever to be, or TVA, whatever the fuck it's called, TVA, yeah. I think they're setting up the TVA to be like a permanent entity within this universe, and I think they're going to be involved in all of these future movies that involve time travel. Like, I think they're going to be a part of Spider-Man. I think they're going to be a part of... I could totally see Peter Parker walking into the TVA and going like, what the fuck is this? And having his like witty Peter Parker banter. Yeah. And him and Owen Wilson walking up at a part and going like, oh, you've been fucking with time. Like, what the fuck, and that being like a permanent thing.
Wire come out and they're like, oh, hey.
Exactly. And they have like, a whole segment within the like lineup of taking a ticket and doing what they're supposed to do in this place. Like, I could see that totally being a thing in future movies. So I don't think it's going away. I think TVA is like a new thing.
Do you know what would be so funny is if we just get cut to that one day, even like an after credit scene somewhere where they just cut to the lineup in the TVA and Deadpool walks in? How fucking funny would that be?
See, and like I could see that totally happen. Deadpool 3, how did he jump?
Imagine Deadpool 3 was a time travel movie. How fucking funny would that be?
But that was the rumor originally, I think, for like the script of the movie. But I also think how do you get Deadpool into the MCU without making it weird, but making him so, he's so aware of everything going on in the real world and his like comic book life. Where like that's a funny thing to do is like have him waiting in line and going like, this is fucking stupid. Like, really, we're gonna wait in line for this Time Cop type bullshit? Have you guys seen Time Cop? Like, there's so many jokes you can spin out of that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love that. That'd be pretty fun.
But I also want to comment that like the music to the show is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Honestly, everything was good. I will say that, like, I know I said this about Falcon and Winter Soldier too, but like that really felt like we were heading more back in the direction of like what we know of the MCU is. But like this one feels that even like way more. Like this one feels like it's just back to where we kicked it off. Like it's so high end and so production wise well done that I just feel like it fits right in with the movies and like it's great, man. I suppose having a familiar face of Loki there too probably doesn't help or doesn't hurt either, like because we've been with him for so long, right?
I think you could have honestly done an Owen Wilson starring like Time Cop movie where he's like investigating time manipulation and like him going into different versions of the MCU and investigating what the fuck's happening. And like there's definitely a version of the show where if they wanted to do like a Loki season 2 but like kind of change the name, you could do it without Loki and just have him like investigating time law cheats or whatever and like doing really cute like fun things of like almost like what if that they're doing, but in a time manipulation version of it, there's another version of the show that could exist.
What if it was Mobius and Agent Wu?
Exactly, that's what I mean.
That'd be hilarious. Imagine that. Imagine there are time cops. That'd be funny.
Right, like there's a version of the show where you could get Agent Wu and like Darcy and like all these people into a same show where they're just investigating like weird crimes, weird science stuff, weird time stuff, weird space stuff, and it's like an X-Files show but not X-Files,
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
I'd be down with that. Yeah, like I said earlier, I like the banter between. I like that like Owen Wilson's character is like not like falling for any of Loki's shit. It's just like everything he throws at him, he's like ready for it, and it's just I love the back and forth. It's fucking really funny.
And all like the sciencey stuff of it, of like them hitting him with like the time stick or whatever, and he like manipulates time, and he's like going slow motion and like and all that stuff, like the collar that like gets him stuck in time where they can just hit the button and he goes back to where he was, and like all that stuff. Like I'm like, oh, they're introducing some really cool weapons and tools and stuff here where you could totally see this stuff being used in future like Avengers movies or something like that.
Yeah,
did just like tech.
So one of the rumors that I think is floating around is that we're going to start seeing a bunch of like different versions of Loki. So like in the comics, there's like Loki's a female for a while. Then he was like a god for a while, or not a god, a king. Right. And then there was one where he was like a teenager, one where he's like a little kid. Like, so I wonder if we're going to see all of that kind of stuff.
Well, they're saying like a report came out a couple days ago that he's like gender fluid.
Yeah, it's in the movie.
People were like, show. Right. Well, people were saying like, "Oh, that's annoying" or whatever. Oh, they're doing like the new normal thing of being accepted by everybody, but everybody else was like commenting, going, "Oh no, that's the way he is in the comics. That's the way he is in like all kinds of things." Yep. And I like that because I think not only do you have a version of Loki that's anybody can relate to, but you also you really get to see Tom Hiddleston stretch his legs and really like play up the character in any way he wants, and I think that's going to make a super interesting show. So
I agree.
Each episode could have him do a different version of himself while he's hunting himself.
It's cool. And I can't even believe I'm gonna fucking talk about this because it's so against my character. But I'm working on that Brainiac figure right now for Jesse Rath. And when we were chatting one night, I said, I'm like, what's a good episode you can recommend that like I can watch to kind of like get to know that character a bit? Just it's like I find it's like easier for me to kind of get into something once I kind of know a bit about them usually, right? So he suggested the one where he actually gets the new costume, the one I'm working on. And it's funny because it basically it happens after there's like a time crisis thing in the CW DC universe where like all of them came together, I guess, or something. I don't really know the full details. And so he meets 5 or 4 different Brainiacs from different timelines, like different that like didn't get folded in somehow or some reason. So he's meeting them, and it's like one of them is like a female played by like his actual sister, so like she's playing him, so they kind of like have like a similar look to each other, like you can see that you know. And then there's one that's like the perfect Brainiac, and it's like he was like plucked out of the comic book, so it's like he's in like this like bright purple jumper with like yellow dish gloves, and like it just looks silly, right? But it's like it's just like cool. Like it'd be cool to see that kind of stuff, right? Where like, you know, like I even heard a rumor they're talking about that the next Doctor Strange movie that they're gonna visit the 616 universe, like the actual comic book universe. Like, you know, imagine how cool it would be if we like got to see like comic book accurate like superheroes in the MCU. Like how fucking cool would that be?
Well, not just that, but I think with Spider-Man Into the Multiverse or whatever, the animated film, they realized that people want and like that movie so much that they can do those kind of things, and people are going to accept them as like, oh, this isn't corny, this is like cool, because they're showing us they're showing us stuff that we know from the comics, but they're also making it cool in modern day and realistic and everything like that. So I think you can make a movie where, you have like some really nerdy comic book style uniforms and stuff like that, but you can also make it like, oh yeah, we're poking fun at this, that this is ridiculous, but still, you know, put it into canon.
Like, how hilarious would it be if we visit the 616 universe and all of a sudden we see Chris Evans show up in tight, bright blue spandex with Buccaneer boots, with red Buccaneer boots? How fucking funny would that be?
Not only funny, but now with the way like they've moved these characters forward, is you wouldn't expect it. And that's the best part of the MCU. It's like when you get something you don't expect, it makes it that much more interesting and that much more like mind-blowing. I love that aspect. Like I love that everything is tying into each other, and they're making a movie like Thor the Dark World that everybody hated on become relevant again, because they're making it tie into Loki, and they made same as Age of Ultron, which everybody wasn't, you know, was considered probably the worst Avengers movie. With WandaVision, they made it relevant again, and they're really trying to make every movie matter. And I really do hope that with She-Hulk, they turn the Hulk movie into something that's relevant too.
That would be awesome. Well, if they do indeed have Abomination coming back, and I can imagine we'll probably see General Ross.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's like
maybe we see Betty Ross, right? Who knows?
Exactly. I totally agree. It'd be really, really interesting to see all these characters that they really touched on but never really did anything with, all of a sudden come back and then go, oh yeah, Hulk still matters. Hulk's still important. That movie isn't forgotten. For the people that like the movie, it's still part of the MCU. And we're going to touch on it and make it better through new content that's not a sequel, but make stories envelop that other story, you know?
It's funny that you say that, because it's like, this week, Star Wars, the Hasbro Star Wars team revealed the final missing member from the Rogue One team. So they've had like Jin and Cassian and Chirrut and Baze, but they never did Bodhi, the pilot who deflected or whatever, like that changed from Imperial to, you know, the guy in the blue jumpsuit. Right. So they never made him. So they just released him, and now they're re-releasing all the old ones, like the other guys, but done with like the face print. So like they in the last, I don't know, 3 years, they've like introduced like a face print, which like makes the face look like really realistic. Before they were just like
Right.
really shitty painting, so it was like they didn't look realistic at all. So all the old
Right.
Rogue One characters have the old shitty painting. So now they've re-released them with proper face prints, essentially making me rebuy 4 figures that were complete peg warmers that like never sold.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm buying them all again now so they can look good with the guy that's missing. But the reason I'm bringing that up is it brought up conversations about Rogue One, and that movie does exactly that for me. Is like I love Rogue One, but
So do
like, the thing I love the most about Rogue One is how much better it makes A New Hope. Like I love
Exactly.
I love having that insight as to, because to me that never made sense. Like why would you ever build this battle station that is a world destroyer with a weakness on purpose? Like why would that ever happen? So like,
Well, not just that, but we never got to see Darth Vader as like a badass.
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that. But the thing that really made it for me was that plot line, because to me, it just never made sense, and like it totally brought it all together for me. And yes, don't get me wrong, that Vader scene is probably one of my favorite scenes out of all Star Wars movies ever.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Is like we finally got the scene of Vader using his powers and Vader being the badass that everybody fears. And we never got that in the original trilogy because he was an old man who like slowly moved, and like, you know, they didn't have the technology to make him have like some badass fight scene. And to get that scene where he's just, you know, manipulating the Force and throwing people and all that kind of shit, it's like, oh yeah, he's feared. He's terrifying. And like in that small 1 minute scene, it made A New Hope that much more cool and that much more of a badass movie. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Like if they can manipulate these shows into making the lesser movies better, sweet, great. You're doing a great job. Keep doing it.
Makes me wonder what Shang-Chi will do for the Iron Man franchise.
I think it'll be interesting. I think, you know, generally, I mean, I think probably Iron Man 2 is everybody's least favorite, but Iron Man 3, a lot of people have, you know, a huge disdain for. So
I do not like Iron Man 3. I actually prefer Iron Man 2 to Iron Man 3.
I want my bird. That's all I remember about Iron Man 2.
I didn't say Iron Man 2 is good, but Iron Man 3 is not either. So
you want a bird? I can get you a bird. What kind of bird do you want? I want my bird.
I want my bird.
It's a bad movie.
It's not great, but Iron Man 3 is not much better.
I liked Iron Man 3 a lot more, but I agree with you. Neither movie's like perfect or anything, but
no. Iron Man 1, fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the best Iron Man movie.
Yeah, for sure. So,
all right. Well, anything else on Loki?
No. Hopefully next week I'll be able to like watch twice. I'm gonna rewatch episode 1 too.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Cool.
Let's see.
Thank you.
I hope Loki 2, you know, definitely moves the plot forward a lot, and we're done with the recaps now. So I'm hoping like, you know, this is a 45, 50-minute episode of just moving forward and where they want to move these characters, and then we have a lot more to talk about of where this you know, series is heading. But that's pretty much it. All I got to say about, you know, the first episode of Loki is I really enjoyed it. I think it had some slow spots, but overall, I thought, you know, the character dynamic and the universe they're setting up is really cool and really fascinating. And it reminded me actually a lot of Fallout 3, the video game, with like the kind of like 50s stylistic, you know, like the Miss Minutes or whatever, the little animated. I thought that was like really, really cool and really, really clever. It reminded me of like a 1950s style like cartoon, and I don't know, I really dug it. So I hope they keep that like style going.
Is funny is like it, you know, the concept of the TVA seems so futuristic, but then you go in and they're like typing on typewriters and like
it's all like levers.
Yeah. It's
I like that though.
Interesting. Yeah, me too. I do too.
That's why I also think they're kind of villains, because I think they're setting them up to be like, this is like the Wizard of Oz, where like it's just the man behind the curtain. It's all just moving levers and it's all for show. And there's something more sinister going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's where my mind's taking me right now too. It's like that's the vibe I'm getting. So yeah,
cool, man.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm on the same page as you. I think it shows a lot of potential. I do agree that it was a little bit slow moving, but I also expected it to be. It's the first episode. I definitely expected this one to require a bit of explanation. So I wasn't expecting anything more than we got, to be honest. I was pretty much satisfied with what we got, laid down the story, kind of gave us the 411 on this Loki, and I think they really did a good job at driving home the fact that this Loki is not the Loki we all know. And it was interesting to watch him react to his life in front of him, like as he watched it. I liked the idea that he is still the Loki that we will get to know. But I like that we're meeting him at this point. Like it's cool. I like it.
He sees himself still as a god king, right? And him experiencing those moments of loss and him having those human moments of like, oh, I never achieve what I set out to achieve, and I am, the thing that moves these other characters forward, basically, as I'm just a piece of this bigger story. It's that humanizing moment of like, oh, he realizes his life is meaningless and a failure, and is only a part of the story because of what he makes his brother and the other Avengers achieve. I love that aspect, and I love that we got that realization very early on, so that now we can just move forward with this new version of Loki. And I'm just very excited to see where this story goes and where we end at, and we're gonna get Black Widow in the middle of it. So the next 5 weeks of this, the MCU is going to be very, very fascinating and full of interesting conversations to have. So
I'm excited. I know we'll have to figure that out when Black Widow comes out that week. Maybe we have to do 2 episodes.
It's going to be wild. Maybe we'll do a Friday episode that's talking about one thing and Saturday episode that's doing the other. I don't know. I mean, the next 5 weeks is going to be a lot of MCU. So definitely, if you enjoy this and want to, see our takes and everything like that, definitely throw both of us a follow at Customs by Matthew and at Moose Milk Media. And I won't probably post almost at all this week. I'm trying to stay off social media and enjoy my vacation. So probably won't post much during the week this week, but we'll be back next Friday as always with talking about Loki episode 2. And we hope you come back and check it out. And we appreciate all you comments and follows and all that stuff. So thank you for that.
All the goodies. Hey man, have fun camping.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
I'm jealous.
I will. I'll throw you a message throughout the week, and we'll talk about Loki 2 next week.
Sounds good. I was supposed to go to Whistler. I mean, I'm not supposed to. I'm going to Whistler this week, and I was supposed to go to.
Oh, right.
I was supposed to go to this like vodka bar. It's like a frozen vodka bar. You like put on these like Arctic jackets, and you go in and you like drink this like vodka in this super cold environment. But
that sounds delicious.
But then we had to move our days. So I was supposed to go at the end of the week, and now I'm going at the beginning of the week. So they only open Wednesday to Saturday, Wednesday to Sundays. So, and we're only there Monday, Tuesday. So
that's disappointing.
I know. I wanted to drink vodka in a freezer.
I think you should probably just try to stay an extra day and go on Wednesday.
I can't. I have to come back. We have another store we have to flip. So, and the reason why I switched it was because it's Kate's birthday this week. So I have to I wanted to be home, right? So I was supposed to be in Whistler on her birthday because everything got pushed back a week. So I had to adjust it because I didn't want to not be here for it. So
yeah, that's way more important than a vodka party.
Yeah, I agree. Next time.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe maybe I can fly down there and we can go to a vodka winter party.
That sounds great. No pants.
No pants.
My genitals will just freeze off into an icicle.
I want you to be like a Ken doll.
Smooth. Just smooth.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Well, have a good time camping and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for
Peace, everybody.
being here.
Yeah,
See you
man.
guys. Bye.